Good morning. I'm very excited to share this with you, and I'm going to make it really quick because I think Willow has to go number 2, and I told you in my stories I would be here between 9 and 9:15 a.m., and right now it's 9:14, so I'm very excited about the timing. So I am launching a group container on June 2nd in the PHAT Life, and I'm very excited about this because I have worked so hard on this and have put together so many elements, including astrology and human design. And the reason why I did that was because in my experience of the last 15 years doing inner work that started because binge eating stopped soothing my feelings and I was actually diagnosed with PTSD, and then having a chronic pain and the psychosomatic injury in my neck where I had 2 cervical disc tears. That is when I learned about inner child primitive, baby inner child emotions, like not just your 3-year-old self or your 5 or your 7-year-old self, but baby emotions. And the reason why that is so important is because that is where we start to form our identity. And that is where, to form identity, we have to actually download emotions so that we know what energy is, so that we can navigate the energetic field, which is all of life, when we are adults. So we know what's for us, what's not for us, what's safe, what's unsafe, etc. So the depth of the work that I have done to get to these repressed emotions was very extensive because, as you know, if you deal with chronic conditions that can't be explained by medical professionals, it is emotional work. And so the more that I got into all of this emotional work, like I got pretty far. I was able to open a gym, Pilates barbell club, that was based on being flexible and strong in your body and in your mind. But then after 2020, when it was the wake-up call for so many of us, that's when I really started to pay attention to the whole experience of transpersonal, the collective experience of what is a shared emotion that happens within the collective, with all of humanity. So in other words, what are some emotions that all of us experience? Because those emotions are largely dictated by what happens astrologically. Because what happens with the planets affects people on a collective generational level. So when I started to apply astrology to my inner work, it made my childhood make so much sense. Because I don't know, if you've had this experience with inner work or with people trying to help you, but they're especially if you're a boss babe, if you run yourself into the ground, if you know how to do a lot of things, but you are really disconnected to your feminine energy or to your body, we get the advice to just feel your emotions, just surrender and just acknowledge how you feel, process your feelings. And it's if the emotions are so severely suppressed that they show up in binging or they show up in chronic health issues, you can't just journal your way through it because they are repressed. That's the definition of them being repressed. And so when I looked at the astrology, particularly with my Lilith placement, with my Pluto placement, and with my Chiron placement, then I was able to actually be okay, what do these transpersonal energies mean? What are the emotions of these archetypes? How do I feel about those emotions? Where can I see them show up in my adult life now? And what is similar to what happened in my childhood? And so then that really opened things up for me. And I was oh my gosh, this really cuts to the chase so quickly versus doing a lot of the practices where you have to just feel yourself, because just feeling yourself does not work with the repressed emotions. And so what ended up happening for me is that being in my boss babe energy, my masculine energy that can get a lot of shit done, I was able to look at astrology of my natal chart in particular, and then be able to notice the dots that connect in childhood. Because here's the most magical thing about the human experience when it comes to pain, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, is that without having that, there is no experience to become something. And it's very easy to relate it to the birth experience, that which I will not do. But for the women who are open to having a birth experience, the birth experience is pain and pleasure, right? Because you have extraordinary pain, but then you have the pleasure of having this new life. And so it's very similar to the birthing process of who we want to become, or who we even destined ourselves to become in our natal chart, in our soul blueprint. So the childhood experiences that we have that are so painful that we end up repressing the emotions, that then show up in our body with chronic conditions, and show up in our behaviors where we are sabotaging our success left and right, or ghosting ourselves. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, the only way for me to actually become this, this human being, this blended human being, as Abraham Hicks calls us, that not only are we able to interpret our own emotions, but because we are so skilled at interpreting emotion, we can actually interpret energy and download information from our higher self. And the only way for us to do that is if we had a container to come from. And so then what ends up happening is we get to see these experiences that a lot of us are looped on, that are causing the pain or causing the sabotaging behavior. A lot of those experiences ends up becoming the container that we get to birth ourselves from. And so for me, this is really extraordinary. And I put it into the program because I'm thinking, if someone wants to stop their sabotage, or they want to stop their issues with their body, like their pain issues or their inflammation, if they want to correct those things, they don't want to take the 15 years that it took me to get through it. Right? They want to have the consolidated version. So that's why in the PHAT Life, we do the nervous system regulation work, we do the inner child work, but we get through it faster by looking at our astrology and our human design. And with your human design, you're really able to see that so many of the diet rules that you think that you should be following to get to your results don't make sense for your energy type. And once you start to actually work with your energy type, then you have less judgment for what you're not able to do, as far as some diet strategy that you downloaded, or, coaching program, or like whatever type of diet thing that you're getting interested in. So you start to release the judgment about yourself. And judgment is part of what happens in these childhood experiences when we have an emotion that we don't understand. We have an experience that we don't understand. And the adult is not noticing that we don't know what the fuck is happening. And so if we don't have the adult help us process what is happening to us on the emotional level, we just come up with whatever way to get out of danger or get out of pain fast. And that solution that we create is based on the environment that we've grown up in. It's based on the intelligence in our cells from our moms, from our grandmother, from our grandmother, from our grandmother, also from our fathers with their semen in their cells. On a cellular level, we will pick up the traits of our ancestors that help them get out of danger fast. And then with the archetypal intelligence, the archetypes of our natal chart, we can get out of danger fast with really bad behaviors. And so it's so cool to be able to use your astrology and your human design. And so that's why it's part of the PHAT Life, because it's like, how many times have you started a diet and failed? Like even within the first couple of days. And it's like, we know what to do. Move more, eat less. We know what to do, but it's like, why can't we do it? And the reason why we can't do it is emotional/energetic. So that's why I'm so excited to incorporate things like astrology into the practices in the PHAT Life, because they help you get to the bottom of things so much faster. So in the PHAT Life, we have your nervous system, we have your inner child work, we have some basic parts of your astrology, and we have your human design. And then of course we do the macros and we do the bodybuilding. So that way we actually have a focus to put the energy of our sabotage or of our repressed emotions. And then when we work together in the container and you are following through or you're not following through on your diet and your exercise habits necessary for your goal, that's where we get to have the conversation about the repressed emotions. That's where you get to be held in a container with another human being to witness yourself, witness your emotions, to help you validate and process them. Because a lot of the issue with identity is that we are not feeling validated. And if you think about this very esoterically in the energetic field, that everything is vibrating at a different rate to cause that separation, to cause the friction so that we can actually have a sensation of an experience. If we are not validated, it is like we do not exist on the identity level. So part of the reason why you keep failing on your own and not having this type of support is because you're not having somebody validate these emotions. Because the emotions that cause your sabotage and your ghosting are the emotions of your inner child that is figuring out how to protect you from the pain that she thinks will happen if you follow through and get to your goal. That's really what the issue is. And so that actually leads me into why I went freaking berserk with all of the God goddess stuff. Because when you look at the overarching theme of what it is to be a woman, how we are shamed for our body and how we have to look a certain way, and then the things that we're doing to our body to fit into whatever the beauty standard is, that has a lot to do with the transpersonal, with the collective, with the entire human experience that all women go through, that is based on culture. It's based on an outside in experience of ourselves. And that pisses me off because that takes us out of our power that we innately have. And so when we're able to actually be together as women and talk about these are the things that we all go through. We all go through rejection and we all go through shame because of our body. And we all go through rejection and shame because of our personality. These are experiences that all women have that have been evolving over the last 2,000 years, of which we're starting to awaken from. And that's why you see so many things about spirituality and about femininity, about goddess and all these things. So that's why it's so important. That's one of the reasons why it's so important for me in this container to encompass everything, because it's all going to work holistically so that you can stick with the habits necessary and actually form a lifestyle that is supportive of who you are on the soul level, but that you were able to access because you use the diet and exercise to process these repressed emotions. So it's a really fabulous experience in the PHAT Life. And what I want to share with you just to close this out in the next couple of minutes is that we're starting on June 2nd for a 3-month container. In this 3-month container, you're going to get so much attention and support because I really want you to see what I see. I really want you to see that all of your painful experiences and all of the ways that you're judging yourself and your sabotage are actually the repression of your power. I want you to see that. And so in this first 3-month container, it's going to be a lot of hands-on. You are going to feel like you are in a private container with all of the access that you have to face-to-face coaching versus just being with a video and with a worksheet. I really want to give you so much support. And so the pricing is starting at $111 per month. And how you get that pricing is you go to the link in my bio or you go to the link that's in this live stream. It is school.com/bodyenergetics/about. You click the join button and it's going to put you into a subscription that you can cancel at any time for $111. And as you know, I said we're not starting until June 2nd. So if you join now, even today, you're going to have even bonus time getting familiar with the material, doing some of the stuff on your own, binging some of the content, having interaction with me on the community wall, almost like you're preparing for the official 3 months. And so for 3 months, $111 is going to give you such incredible support. But here's what's really cool about the school platform. I could change the pricing of your profile as the pricing goes up. But what I'm going to do is that whatever pricing you join at up until the June 2nd launch, that's where you're going to stay for the remainder of 2025, as long as you stay within each 3-month cycle. So every 3 months, I'm going to have a group container where we can really dive in depthly. And as long as you stay in the platform, you can stay locked in for this group coaching rate of just $111 and participate in every single 3-month container. Even though the pricing is going to be going up this year, the more people join and the more results start to happen and the more the value increases, because you're going to see people get those results. So if you know that this is your missing link, that you've done macro coaching, but you didn't have any support with your emotions, that you've done spiritual practices, but you didn't have anywhere to put them, so you ended up just stuck on your meditation pillow. If you've done feminine embodiment courses, but all you got was like the feminine swamp, you didn't have anything to help you move forward in your life. This is putting it all together, and we're focusing all of your energy into the diet and exercise so that we can actually see what these repressed emotions are that are holding you back. So you're going to process energy. You're going to heal your inner child. You're going to get your nervous system regulated, which is what we need for you to stick with anything stressful like exercise in your body. And you're going to get the results finally, because you have a different incentive and a different meaning of the eating and exercise. You're not just doing the eating and exercise for a 3-month weight loss goal of 20 pounds and then you're done. No. We're taking 3 months of hyper-focused energy into your diet and exercise, into yourself, so that you can create that lasting change from the inside out. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to update my bio link so that you have this $111 access. You have this all through 2025 as long as you stay in the system. You're going to get these bonus couple of weeks before we officially start on June 2nd. This is going to be such a high-level container, high-touch container, so that in 3 months' time, you really feel like this is it. This is how I know I'm going to be able to take care of my body and transform it. Okay, DM me or comment if you have any questions. I'll see you later.